All right, folks. I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. Just give me a thumbs up or an okay, and then I'll just ensure. All right, perfect. Thanks, Hetvi, for that. So glad to see so many of you coming in here on a Sunday morning. Uh, Most of you probably would be sitting here right after your examinations. Hope your exams had gone up really well. And because you're here, I would like to presume that you guys have either made up your mind that you're going to be giving CP1, or you're still contemplating, and you may have certain questions at the back of your mind whether I should go ahead with CP1 or not, or if there's any specific questions. I'll take up question. I went through the form and there were a few generic questions, but more than happy to take a few specific questions as we move ahead, as well. So one of the things with respect to CP1 that I usually get is that the students are in general very afraid of this subject. So can you just give me like a broad set of reasons in terms of, not don't ask questions as to how do I prepare for it or anything like that. Wo discussion hoga, that is what the session is about. But if you could just let me know what is it that really makes you think two times or four times about this specific subject. And it can be anything, like you talk to your seniors and they gave you X YZ as feedback. Okay, that's one which I keep getting a lot, which is the never ending syllabus. What else? Theory and cause of the rumors. 400 hours study suggestions. Need at least 2 attempts to clear. All right. Anything else? Whatever comes to your mind, do set it out across. In the meantime, I'll just join using my pad and then I'll clear a lot of those doubts. Few of those may be correct and few of those may not. So we'll bust a lot of myths surrounding this subject. All right. So the first thing that we need to understand is where CP1 really lies in the ecosystem. And with respect to that, we'll also be understanding why the subject is there at first, and why
Hi,
there is
sir.
never ending syllabus. Huh.
I would just like to take 1 minute
Yeah, yeah,
and
please.
I would just like to introduce sir first, that it's been more than 10 years that sir is teaching actuarial science and various other subjects. So, as you were mentioning, I just heard that students are writing in the chat regarding all the queries related to CP1. But one thing is for sure, that it's a very tested process that sir has made over the last 2 to 3 years, with all his teaching experience over the last 10 years, teaching various subjects in actuarial science, and ranked like tougher examinations like CA Inter, CA Final, and with so much of expertise that he brings on board. So you all need to first have a basic sense of trust that you have till now. But the kind of excellence which sir brings on table, I feel that a subject like CP1, and in the past also it has been cracked by a lot of sir's students in 2.5 3.5 months. Yes, some could not clear, maybe classes, they might not have attended it on a regular basis, but yes, sir is very consistent on the days as well as the time also. So he is of a person quite disciplined. I have seen since the last 10 years, it does not change the class time also. So you all don't need to worry about that when there will be a class. And the kind of detail evaluation that he puts in every mock, I have seen him that more than 1.5 hours it takes to evaluate a mock on a detailed manner. So since now what myths there are, sir will totally help you out in this session. But I'm just here that you need to have complete faith on Praveen sir for the next 3 to 4 months. If you do that, then definitely one of the biggest roadblocks, bottlenecks, whatever it is, you can clear. And yes, once you crack this CP1, then there is nothing stopping you from becoming a qualified actuary. Okay, in my time or in sir's time, it was not present. Like this kind of mentoring and training at this detailed level was not present. But yes, today you people are very lucky that it is there. And one more thing that I would like to point out is that uh, all other things are noise. Just listen to him for the next 60 minutes, and whatever he's saying will make sense, total sense. So just listen and clear all your queries. And for the next 4.5 months, you need to totally surrender to him in order to crack CP1. Whatever guidance he's giving on the LMS, on the WhatsApp group, since you have a WhatsApp group now, so communication will be more easier. And all the classes, if possible, you need to attend live. We are also going to give you all the recorded lectures. So just listen to him. And yes, recently, sir qualified as a fellow actuary, and he recently cleared CFA also. So definitely, he will bring all the experience of finance, insurance, pensions, GI, whatever he has been doing. And he is also working as an investment banker, successful investment banker in Mumbai. So thank you, sir, for being with us. Like, he's the pride and one of the best all India level faculty. So just listen to him for some time, and all things will make sense. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much for the kind words. But we'll get to each and everything as we kind of move forwards. But you'll need to apply your own knowledge and understanding. So let's first try to understand. See, every subject that's there in your actuarial, anything for that matter, will always have some sort of background without behind it, right? And there is, of course, a backdrop and a background even behind your CP1. So let's try to understand where it really lies in the ecosystem and why is it placed really there. So you'll start off with, let's just say, agar main if anyone is starting off with the actuarial, you would probably be giving CS1. That's what is recommended. A lot of you guys CM1 as well, and then you go your CS to CM2 route, and then a lot of people give CB1, CB2. And I'm not covering three subjects over here. That is CB3, CP2, and CP3. And there's a reason behind it. So let's assume that this is your normal pathway. Next up, when you're going like one step above, you have CP1, CP2, CP3. चलो अब ये लिख दिया तो यहाँ पे CB3 भी लिख देता हूँ. And then you go your SPSA level. So you will have SP, let's just say SPA, SPB, because that is something that you will have to decide for yourself. And then you have your SA, whatever. Let's just call it SAX, right? Now, if you most of your, I mean, let me pick up one question at a time. The first question that came was that there is a never-ending syllabus by Himanshi, right? So let's try to understand why is it here and why does it have a never-ending syllabus, this CP1 subject. So in an ideal world, according to institute's theory, who is supposed to give CP1? Someone who has done these four subjects is what my understanding is. कि जिसने ये चार सब्जेक्ट कर लिए CS1, CM1, CS2, CM2, या at least the three of this, or मतलब in an ideal world you should have at least given an attempt for all of these four subjects. After that, I believe that you qualify to be able to reach this level. Now, why does it have never-ending syllabus? The syllabus of CP1 is basically bifurcated into 10 blocks. The 10 blocks are, and I won't be spending too much time on this. This is basic homework which you guys would have done, should have done, or can do at any point of time. But let's try to understand what those blocks are. You start with very basics, and a lot of this is very theoretical, including things like regulation, external environment, बहुत सारे chapters आएंगे. And then comes the part wherein you start getting deeper into what you are expected to understand over here. What do I mean by that? So once you have done your basics, which is like the first 5 subjects, and there's a chapter 0 as well over here. So your chapters do not start with chapter 1. This is probably the only subject where you start with chapter number 0 and then it goes all the way to chapter number 37. So in total, you have 38 chapters. I don't think any other subject has these many number of chapters. Yeah, even if you count the number of pages, it will probably be the highest. So chapter 0 से 37 तक जाना है, 10 blocks में divided है. You start off with basics. Then one step above, you look at life insurance and general insurance products. Then you move up the next alley and then you start digging into insurance, investments. And then alongside investments, you will also have investment strategy. ठीक है. इसके बाद आप जाते हो, I would call it, let's just say, pensions, because there's a link to pensions. There are a few other things as well, but then you start digging slightly deeper into pensions. Follow it up with risk, and finally you have capital and surplus. Now, why am I noting down this chapter syllabus content right in front of you? There's a reason behind it, and there's a reason why CP1 is placed over here. Your SPSA level people, as you know, it's a specialization. If you choose SP7-8, you'll, I mean, agar aap general insurance mein, you will do SP7-8. If you're in life, you'll probably do 2, and so on and so forth. So here you get to choose what you're, really studying, whether it's life insurance, whether it's investments, whether it's pensions, whether it's general insurance. You also have SP9 and SP10, which is risk and banking, but those are very, limited people end up taking that. So I'm not going to discuss about that. But the whole idea over here is that this is the spot wherein you get to decide what is it that you really want to pursue. Do you want to become a life insurance actuary, or do you want to become a general insurance actuary? Most of the people are there, right? So CP1 में क्या हो रहा है, आप एकदम बेसिक से स्टार्ट करते हो. You cover life, you cover general insurance, you cover investments, you cover strategy, you cover pension, risk, capital, and surplus. So everything is touched upon in this specific subject. As a result of which, what ends up happening is the chapters get elongated. You have 38 chapters, and everyone needs to cover everything. It's not like, okay, my life mein main pension nahi dekhunga. You can't technically do that, right? So for that reason, the syllabus becomes never ending. And that is like one of the myths that you guys would have had, ki never ending syllabus hai, kaise complete hoga. And then you had all of those 400 hours related thing, and uh, you need at least 2 attempts and all of that. And we're going to bust all of those myths as we move forward, right? ये हो गया आपका syllabus wise. Now there is another reason why your seniors might even tell you that SPSA level paper से भी ज़्यादा difficult हो जाता है CP1. There is again a reason behind it, and there's a reason why I chose CP1 today as we speak. I think a few of you guys I know probably from CB1 as well, but right now my focus has only shifted towards CP1. I only teach CP1 at this point of time, and there's a reason behind it too. So CP1 में एक और जो प्रॉब्लम आता है वो ये है कि you don't have one paper over here, you have 2 papers. So you will have paper A and paper B, paper 1, paper 2, whatever you want to call it. So you have paper 1 followed up with paper 2. Next thing is that it is theoretical in nature. In the last 10 years, या maybe even 15 years, अगर मैं और पीछे जाऊं, maybe 2006-7 में I might get a numerical sum. But if I go back last 15 years, maybe even up to 17, 18, 20 years, there is hardly going to be a single sum that you're going to find. So you're not going to be writing any numbers in your answers altogether. So all of these things combined ends up putting a little bit of pressure on people depending upon where you're coming from. So people who have been coming from CS1, CM1, CS2 and CM2, अभी तक आप expectations निकाल रहे थे. You were finding out variances, covariances, mortality, profit and whatnot. So it was all very number heavy. Now all of a sudden it gets shifted over here because here you have to write a lot. So your practical becomes slightly almost absolutely theoretical. So here you had to find out the answer. Here you have to talk about the applications. So this is one of the reasons why most of the people who have just done CM1, CM2, CS1, CS2 find it slightly more difficult. So that is thing number 1. Again, the other reason, the fact that there are 2 papers, right? Paper 1 and paper 2. Sometimes, in fact, when I started around 2.5 to 3 years back when I got like, full time into CP1. There were a lot of methods to madness, which I tried, tested, and then, I've come up with a formula today, which I try to apply, which has been working very well with the students. But one more thing that was, which happened when I had started was a lot of students who came to me, at least 5 to 10% back in the time, used to be the people who had completed everything and CP1 was their last paper, right? So I personally know at least 4 or 5 of my students who cleared CP1 and became actuaries, and of course there would probably be a little more. These were the people who had the opportunity to interact with. And with them, like talking with them, I realized that of course they had given CP1 earlier as well, but for multiple reasons they were not able to crack it. The reason was, the biggest reason being, you have two papers, दोनों पेपर का एवरेज लेके आपको पास होना है, which means, let's just say hypothetically you're scoring 65 in paper 1, your paper 1 went well and you're scoring 65 over here. Your paper 2, let's just say it didn't go that well and you end up scoring, let's just say 40. You get a total of 105, you divide it by 2, you get to a 52 ka score, which is sadly a fail. So despite doing exceptionally well in paper 1, your paper 2, if it goes bad, you are basically in a mess, as a result of which you can't clear this paper. So unlike other subjects wherein, let's just say, अगर आप SPSA level paper दे रहे हो या दे चुके हो, there you will realize, let's just say you're giving SP5 for example, आपने 2 attempt दिया, first attempt it didn't go well, second attempt it went well, you got whatever score and you're cleared. The thing that does not apply in case of CP1 is that you have to give both the papers exceptionally well each of the time in order to ensure that you're able to clear it. So another problem that ends up coming is that the syllabus is huge, the question paper is also very huge, and you have very little room for error that you can make over here. So that's like the second problem. As a result of which, like I said, ki CP1 sometimes becomes the last paper that a lot of people clear. SP level ho gaya, SA level paper ho gaya, CP1 is the last paper that they're left with. That is also something which is not unheard of. You will also find certain set of people who are over there. Now, ये सब तो हो गए problems that were there or problems that a lot of people face. अब solution क्या है? Solution is very simple, and I don't want to force anyone कि अरे आप इसी term में दो. You have to decide for yourself who, according to me, are the ones who should ideally give CP1. Right? अगर आपका last paper है तो of course it's a no-brainer, then you have to give it. But let's just say you're someone who has cleared your CT series. अगर आपका सारा सीटी सीरीज हो गया है, या अगर मान लेते हैं मैं उसमें भी CB3 को काउंट नहीं करता, इवन टू एन एक्सटेंट CB2 भी काउंट नहीं करते हैं, लेट्स जस्ट रिमूव दीस टू, अगर आपके वो फर्स्ट 4 या 5 पेपर्स हो चुके हैं, CM1 CM2 CS1 CS2, CB1 हुआ नहीं हुआ डजंट रियली मैटर, बिकॉज अगर आपका CP1 हो गया तो नेक्स्ट अटेम्प्ट 100% आपका CB1 तो हो ही जाएगा. So if you're someone who has cleared CT series while you're still at college also, I think it becomes a very good thing for you to give CP1 right now, because 4 years later you're going to thank your 4-year past individual because he took CP1 and he was able to clear it. The last term itself, we had one student who had cleared all the CT series, even for that matter उनका CP2 भी हो गया था. And he was still at college and he was contemplating whether or not to take CP1. He ended up taking it, scored some 70 odd in paper 1, some 50 या 40, 48 या 50 ऐसा कुछ आया था paper 2 में, and combined he ended up clearing, right? And right now of course he is working. So as a result of that, he was able to come across this thing कि अच्छा हुआ कि I had given this paper and gone ahead, because the learnings that you apply over here are also going to be applicable in SP and SA level paper, right? So अभी तक बहुत high level discussion हुआ. Now let's take a step back and let's try to understand ये theoretical वाले का पंगा क्या है, 2 attempt क्यों लगते हैं, and all of those things, why does that come into the picture, right? So again, I'll be repeating one thing which I said. अगर आप CM1 दे रहे हो, all you need to do is, आपके स्पेसिफिक सेट ऑफ सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, स्पेसिफिक सेट ऑफ चैप्टर्स हैं, उसको आपने देखा क्लासेस, सो यू लुक एट दोस चैप्टर्स. आई एम अज्यूमिंग साइमल्टेनियसली यू डू क्लासेस, फॉलो इट अप विथ रिवीजन नोट्स. अगर आपने ये सारे चीज कर लिया, मान लेते रिवीजन नोट्स आपने 2 टाइम्स कर लिए, आई वुड लाइक टू बिलीव, और आपको कंफर्ट है, देयर इज अ 90 to 95% प्रोबेबिलिटी दैट यू आर गोइंग टू क्लियर. If you have just followed the method to the madness, you will definitely be able to be in a position जहां पे, unless मान लो एग्जाम डे कुछ 4-5% का मैं ले रहा हूं यहाँ पे वेरिएंस, otherwise you are most likely that अच्छा ठीक है सर, I have done everything, I have solved every question, similar set of questions you will get and you are able to get to your answers during the examination. That happens with all of the CM1, CM2, CS1 and CS2. ठीक है. What changes in case of CP1 is, here अगर आपको आप, and you talk to seniors as well, because don't take just my word for it, there isn't one structure that anyone can provide to you, and as a result of that structure your odds will become 90 to 95%. So structure एक नहीं है, यहाँ पे आपको बहुत सारे चीजें एक साथ देखनी होगी. मतलब जैसे अगर मैं आपको CMP का बात करूं, द मटेरियल, द बुक दैट यू हैव, द 1600 पेजर बुक, ये बुक अगर आप पूरा रट भी लो तो भी इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू से दैट यू आर गोइंग टू पास. इसके साथ लेट्स जस्ट से यू डू योर रिवीजन नोट्स एज वेल, एंड मे बी लेटर ऑन विल ऑल्सो शो. अभी आपको उतना समझ नहीं आएगा, बट रिविजन नोट्स में आई कैन शो यू एटलीस्ट इफ नॉट मोर देन 15 to 20% of the answers which are irrelevant, right? So revision notes may be problem hai. Then if I go to let's just say examiner's report, this is perhaps one of the better areas, but examiner report से आप पढ़ नहीं सकते. And even in examiner's report, I can show you a few answers wherein you will find कि sir ये तो it does not make sense as compared to what I've studied. So there may be certain flaws in certain situations with examiner's report as well. Now you will say कि sir आप examiner report से ज़्यादा जानते हो. नहीं, but in certain situations in the past there may be a certain question wherein they might have made certain mistakes, because at the end of the day, like you guys just said, someone said that there is a subjectivity involved कि आपको क्या लगता है versus what is true, there may be some bit of deviance, right? So then examiner report में भी थोड़े से problem हो सकते हैं. तो one of the best resources which I would say, जो करने से आपको at least 30-40% comfort आ जाएगा, those are ASETs. But the problem with ASETs is that their ASET क्या होता है, आप maybe a lot of you do not even know. It is similar to revision notes, but what it does is instead of going chapter by chapter, it goes paper by paper. So last 5 years के papers की examination होती है, and it talks to you in the sense that okay, this is the question and this is what the institute expected out of you. So it's a very conversational set, but at the same time it is limited in application, number one. And number two, it does not go chapter by chapter, it goes paper by paper, which has its own good things and bad things. So these are, let's just say, the sort of things that you will need. And other than that, must haves are mocks. You have to give at least two, like one to evaluate when you're in between, when you've done like 50% of the syllabus, other one when you've done the 100% of the syllabus. And at that point of time, you need detail mocks, not just mocks, but detail mocks, which kind of tell you exactly what is it that you're supposed to do. So all in all, and kisko kis proportion mein use karna hai, this is again tried and tested method through which I have realized this, but I'm going to give you a lot of information which will help you guys even if you want to self prepare. तो CP1 का अगर आप प्रिपरेशन खुद से कर रहे हो या जैसे भी कर रहे हो, the first thing you have to do is spend time on CMP, but not a lot of time. You can spend 400 hours on CMP and still end up with a 90% probability of failure, which is exactly the other way around of what happens with others. Same thing applies to each and every paper. So you have to go through CMP, but your focus has to be on solving as many questions as you possibly can. Then comes another factor which will end up determining how your answers are to be structured. So in case of CP1, अगर मैं कोई भी question paper उठाऊं, let's just say I pick up any random question paper immediately, and we will pick up one. It may not be random, but we'll pick up one question paper. One thing which you will realize is, अगर मैं किसी, आपने मान लेते फॉर एग्जाम्पल someone of you have not done CM1, और मैं अगर आपको CM1 का क्वेश्चन पेपर दिखाऊं, it will look like Hebrew to you. You will be like ये क्या लिखा हुआ है, ADUN, what is ADUN? So in case of any other subject, even to an extent in case of SPSA level paper, अगर मैं आपको क्वेश्चन पेपर इमीडिएटली दिखा दूं, 50% of the things तो definitely आपको समझ में नहीं आएंगे. Things turn in case of CP1, because I believe that even if I show you a question paper right now, आपको 80 to 90% of the things समझ में आएंगे, and you'll be like, these are very basic things, I can of course try and address this. So at least that level of understanding is there कि questions in appearance are not going to be difficult, but behind the scenes of that questions there are going to be certain tricks, there are going to be certain, let's just say, cards that institute puts up their sleeve, and they want to set traps for you in order to ensure that you make mistakes, right? So again, how the CP1 question is structured, structure kuch aisa hoga. You have paper 1, which will have, let's just say, anywhere between 8 to 12 questions. These questions will may or may not have certain sub questions, but last अगर मैं 3-4 टर्म की बात करूं तो no question has more than like 6 to 7 marks. Historically जाऊं तो 10 marks 12 marks तक भी जाता है, but usually one question will not have a lot of like allocation towards it. 8 से 12 क्वेश्चन होंगे, एक क्वेश्चन अभी हम देखेंगे, और उसमें कुछ सबसेक्शंस होंगे, पार्ट 1 पार्ट 2 एंड so on and so forth. They will ask you all these theoretical questions. Anywhere between, it can go as low as 2 marks and it can go as high as 7 marks if I talk about the last 4-5 terms, right? So all in all, you may have, let's just say, 20 to 25 questions. Depends, of course, from term to term. Then you have this thing which is very, very dreaded, which is paper 2. Paper 2 का usual structure is two case studies. So you have case study number 1, case study number 2. इसमें से अगर मैं आपको लास्ट 4 साल का बात करूं तो एक केस स्टडी इज एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट, सेकेंड वन इज यूजुअली वेरी इजी. इस टर्म में, लास्ट टर्म में, आई हैवंट सीन द क्वेश्चन पेपर, बट डिस्कसिंग विद द स्टूडेंट दे सेड दैट द फर्स्ट वन वाज इजी, सेकंड वन वाज एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट. यूजुअली वो क्या करते हैं, फर्स्ट वन एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट डाल देते हैं. आप ये क्वेश्चन पढ़ते हो, बाय द टाइम यू आर रीडिंग दिस क्वेश्चन you have already lost half of the battle, and you know for a fact that your let's just say it's the exam scenario which I of course can't portray over here, but you know for a fact कि अच्छा सर ये question तो बहुत difficult है, and then you have all the negativities in your mind, as a result of which your जो दूसरा question था which was easy, इसमें भी आप अच्छा perform नहीं कर पाते हो. So that is what usually happens in case of a CP1 ka question paper, right? Even in paper 1, there are certain traps which are laid down just in order to make lives slightly more difficult for the students. So that is how your structure is. Paper 1, 8 to 12 question with few sub questions, making the question counts up to 20. Paper 2 with 2 case studies. Usually each case study is 50-50. Sometimes it can go up to 60-40 as well. मतलब एग्जाम में आया हुआ है 60-40 का भी एलोकेशन, एंड उस केस स्टडी में वो थोड़े से ट्रैप्स डालेंगे, उसको इतना डिफिकल्ट दिखाएंगे, बट इफ यू आर यूजिंग द फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल्स you will always get to the right answer, right? That is one. Next thing which I have to tell you is, I have been teaching for so long and I don't want to paint any rosy picture या वैसा कुछ, एकदम फैक्ट्स में डील करूंगा. मेरे स्टूडेंट्स में जिनके साथ मेरा इंटरेक्शन हुआ है आफ्टर द एग्जाम, रिजल्ट आने तक आप लोग कुछ इंटरेक्ट करते नहीं हो, बट इवन आफ्टर रिजल्ट्स द स्टूडेंट्स with whom I have interacted, the highest that I have seen someone score is 71, right? This was in I think April 2023. बाकी 69 to 70 बहुत लोग का आया है, 71 मैंने एक ही स्टूडेंट का देखा है. 71 आया था स्टूडेंट का अप्रैल 2023. पास मार्क्स कितना था? 62. So you have pass marks of 62 and highest score of 71. Unlike in case of CM1, CM2, CS1, CS2, जहां पास मार्क 65 भी हो तो भी theoretically आपको 95 वाले लोग भी दिख जाएंगे. Technically there may be someone who might have scored as high as 98 also, because this is something that we know. यहाँ पे आपका कितना आप एरर कर सकते हो, which means you can do 8 plus 1 9 marks का overall error. दिस इज द स्कोप दैट यू हैव टू मेक मिस्टेक्स. 9 मार्क्स से ज्यादा का अगर आप मिस्टेक कर रहे हो तो दैट मीन्स आप थोड़े से पानी में आ रहे हो, राइट? एंड ऑफ कोर्स 62 वाज अ वेरी हाई पास मार्क एज वेल. यूजुअली इट इज स्लाइटली लोअर. It goes anywhere between 52 to 55, but we have to be prudent. Let's assume our pass mark ends up being 62 and the maximum we can score is 71. So we have 9 marks ka delta which is available with us. Within that 9 mark, if you think about it, एक 9 मार्क का क्वेश्चन अगर आपने गलत कर दिया पेपर 1 में और सिमिलर थिंग अगर आप पेपर 2 में कर दिए तो आप एकदम नेक टू नेक आ जाते हो. That is again one of the problems that a lot of people face with CP1. Now ये तो हो गए सारे problems, right? See, the things are exactly the same for both II as well as IFoA. II के केस में अगर आप बोलो कि क्या होता है, II के केस में आई थिंक पास मार्क्स 50 होता है. थोड़ा आई वुड लाइक टू बिलीव, एंड मतलब दिस इज बेस्ड ऑन पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस, डोंट होल्ड मी अकाउंटेबल फॉर इट. आई फील आई के केस में पासिंग इज स्लाइटली इजियर, राइट? 50 is the pass marks because you know that pass mark is going to be 50. I had scored some 66, and I have known people who have scored up to 67, 68 also, but most of the people who pass are scoring anywhere between 50 to 55. ये उनका यूजुअल बैंड रहता है स्कोर करने का, राइट? सो एंड वट एवर आई एम सेइंग, बेसिकली इट अप्लाइज टू बोथ IFO एंड IA. क्वेश्चन पेपर भी एग्जैक्टली द सेम आता है इन द स्ट्रक्चर. मतलब पेपर 1 पेपर 2 ऐसे ही होते हैं, 2 केस स्टडी होते हैं, 6 से 8 क्वेश्चन. वो मतलब स्ट्रक्चरली देयर इज नो डिफरेंस. इवन इन केस ऑफ प्रिपरेशन देयर इज नो डिफरेंस एट ऑल इन केस ऑफ IA versus IFOA. So I'm basically covering up both. The only difference will of course be pass mark and maybe to an extent the way that papers get checked. So this is like the structure behind the questions. Now the things that you need to do is, again I'll be repeating, आपको CMP में थोड़ा limited time spend करना है, but you have to understand the concepts from over there. Follow it up with going into revision notes. Follow it up with past papers. Follow it up with A-sets. Within all of these things, one very ultra important thing that you have to do is make your notes. ये मैं फर्स्ट क्लास में हमेशा लिखता हूँ और 10 क्लास बाद स्टूडेंट्स टेल मी सर आपने बोला था कि आप मेक योर नोट्स बट हमने किया नहीं, अब क्या करें? एंड आई हैव सीन दिस हैपन एवरी नाउ एंड देन, बट you have to keep on making your own notes in order to ensure that there is a lot of retention. Now how do you ensure retention? And there is this ppt which I think आप किसी से भी मांगो आपको मिल जाएगा. We prepared a ppt. Let me just show you the ppt right now. The idea over here was to ensure that you guys are able to get the maximum value in the minimum amount of time. So this is how this PPT would look like. I hope you can see my screen. This is the initial chapter, which goes by chapter 0, like I had told you guys just some time back. Within this, you will have a bit of an introduction, what it really looks like, followed it up with a case study, which is nothing but a question, a past examination question. And towards the end, what we have done with this is कि सारे chapters के लिए we have basically prepared a very simple one pager. Exceptions होंगे 2-3 chapter जहाँ पे 2 पेज पे जा रहा है. Otherwise, in every chapter, we have this one pager explanation of everything which should comprehensively cover at least the chapter, while at the same time trying to ensure that you guys are able to understand and remember certain things which you might have to remember, क्योंकि थोड़ा सा remembrance है इसमें. I won't say कि आपको कुछ रटना नहीं है, थोड़ा बहुत रटने का है, but I don't want to make it super heavy कि आप रट्टे ही मार रहे हो बैठ के, right? So there will be certain things which you might have to remember, and at the same time there will be certain things which I will say at the beginning जो आपको एकदम नोट करना पड़ेगा. जैसे for example, दिस फर्स्ट चैप्टर इज एसीसी. व्हाट डज एसीसी मीन? कि अगर कोई भी आपको क्वेश्चन आ रहा है उसको आप फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल से एज एन एक्चुअली कैसे सॉल्व करोगे. सो इफ आई लेट्स जस्ट से गिव यू अ क्वेश्चन व्हिच इज, लेट्स टेक अ रियल क्वेश्चन. आई कम अप विद अ न्यू प्रोडक्ट एंड आई एम आस्किंग यू कि व्हाट शुड बी द प्राइस ऑफ दिस प्रोडक्ट. मैंने एक टर्म इंश्योरेंस प्लान किया है कि आई एम अ लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कंपनी, नाउ आई वांट टू सेल टर्म इंश्योरेंसेस. हाउ शुड आई गेट टू द प्राइसिंग यूजिंग फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल्स? अगर मैं आपको बोलूं ऐसा क्वेश्चन आए यूजिंग एसीसी, व्हाट यू हैव टू डू इज you have to bucket it down into 5 funnels. Out of those 5, first 3 are very important. So you'll first specify the problem. Your problem is what? Identifying the price, which means you need to first think about objectives. कि अच्छा price तो identify करना है, but do you want to maximize profits or do you want to maximize volume? Do you want to get deeper into market? आपको 20% market share चाहिए या आपको सबसे ज्यादा profits करने? So those are the things that you need to keep in mind before you're able to come up with a solution. So idea over here will be कि अगर ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है, थिंक कि अगर मैंने आपको बोल दिया कि अच्छा चलो इसका प्राइसिंग करके दो, तो देयर विल बी सर्टेन क्वेश्चंस दैट यू आर सपोज्ड टू आस्क मी बैक, राइट? एज अ मैनेजमेंट कंसल्टेंट बोल लूं, या फिर अगर मैं आपको एज अ एनालिटिकल यू नो use your analysis and tell me what are the questions you will come up with. So those are the things that you need to write in specifying the problem. कि सर बताइए हमें प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइज करना है, कौन से ज्योग्राफी में हम जाएंगे, कैसा रिस्क हम ले सकते हैं, कितना कैपिटल है, वो सारे बेसिक क्वेश्चंस होंगे जो आप मुझे पूछोगे. दैट विल कम ओवर हियर. You will follow it up with developing the solutions. Now developing the solutions will be very technical. इसमें मैं आपको 4 पॉइंट लिखूंगा, आपको वो 4-5 पॉइंट ही लिख के आने, which is basically this only: model, assumption and alternate solutions. Now why am I saying all of this? Because ये आप बाद में देखोगे chapter 17, 18, 19 is modeling. So there is a lot of interconnectivity as well. कि आपने ये देखा, फिर आप chapter 17, 18, 19 में जाओगे तो आपको उस टाइम क्लिक होगा, अच्छा हाँ सर ने ये बोला था. So now they are linked and this will become much more clear over there. एंड लास्ट में आप क्या करोगे? मॉनिटर करोगे. आपने मान लो 10,000 का प्राइस कर दिया और आपने सोचा था कि हर पॉलिसी पे आप 1,000 का प्रॉफिट करोगे. साल के एंड में देखा तो 1,200 का प्रॉफिट हो गया, या साल के एंड में देखा तो 500 का ही प्रॉफिट हुआ. तो ऑफ कोर्स यू विल मॉनिटर द सिचुएशन एंड देन यू विल टेक करेक्टिव आंसर, विच इज लाइक अगेन स्पेसिफाइंग द प्रॉब्लम कि सर प्रॉफिट हम 1,200 सोचे थे बट 500 का ही हुआ, तो अब क्या करें? सो इट बिकम्स अ इटरेटिव प्रोसेस. And then you have general economic environment and professionalism. What is general economic environment? This is nothing but the chapter number 2, which is this external environment. So उसमें आपको क्या पॉइंट लिखने हैं वो चैप्टर नंबर 2 में आ जाएगा. उसके बाद चैप्टर नंबर 2 को अगर आपको याद रखना है तो ऑल यू नीड टू डू इज जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस, which is create grand list. अब आपको लगेगा क्या सर ये बच्चों जैसा कर रहे हो, बट दिस विल हेल्प यू when you're actually sitting for the exam, because you don't want to think of अच्छा external environment का क्वेश्चन आ गया अब मैं क्या पॉइंट्स लिखूं. If you have create grand list, which is C stands for corporate structure, R stands for regulation, E stands for environment, A stands for accounting, T stands for tax, and so on and so forth, and E stands for economic outlook. At least आपको create grand list याद होगा तो इन 16 में से आप 10 पॉइंट तो याद रख पाओगे. So that is what you have to do with CP1. You have to be very, very thoughtful about how you go about this paper. Agar if you end up keeping no limit to madness and if you just go through this chapter, I can 200% tell you that 1 month later आपको एक भी पॉइंट याद नहीं रहेगा. So that is why the point which I said just a while back, that making your own notes and ensuring that you know how to attempt those questions is going to be of क्रिटिकल इंपॉर्टेंस. सो अगर आपको पता है चलो एक्सटर्नल एनवायरमेंट आया, क्रिएट ग्रैंड लिस्ट है, उसमें से आपको 6-7 पॉइंट आ जाएंगे, तो 7-8 मार्क का जो भी क्वेश्चन होगा वो आप अटेम्प्ट कर सकते हो. एंड इफ समवन वांट्स टू लाइक मेमोराइज एवरीथिंग एंड राइट ऑल द 16 पॉइंट्स, दैट इज आल्सो वैलिड थिंग टू डू. सो दैट इज हाउ यू नीड टू स्ट्रक्चर योर आंसर्स एंड ensure that you're able to remember while at the same time not memorizing everything, right? So, and of course, once we do 2-3 more questions, it will become a little clearer. I don't want to spend time on questions right now. Maybe we'll do one question just to show you guys what is required in case of CP1. But अभी question करेंगे तो आधा घंटा unnecessarily waste होगा. So this is like the other thing that you need to remember with CP1. And same thing you have to apply with everything. Let's just say अगर regulation का बोलूं तो what are the principal aim of regulation? It's a 2-mark question. अब just control F करके देखना, बहुत बार दिखेगा. आंसर क्या है? ग्रिप. गिव कॉन्फिडेंस, रिड्यूस फाइनेंशियल क्राइम, इनएफिशिएंसी एंड प्रोटेक्ट कंज्यूमर. सो ऐसे कुछ 20-25 निमोनिक्स होंगे विच आर इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू नीड टू रिमेंबर इन ऑर्डर टू एंश्योर कि वो सारे क्वेश्चंस आप डायरेक्टली कर पाओ. तो ये हो गया लेट्स जस्ट से अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ रटना या लिटिल बिट ऑफ मेमोराइजेशन दैट यू नीड टू डू इन CP1, which will not be difficult as long as you're devoting 1 to 2 hours on a daily basis to begin with. And later on as we let's just say move into May, end of May जाते हैं, तो आपको वीकेंड्स में 3 घंटे टाइप 3 से 4 घंटे देने पड़ेंगे, और वीकडेज में you have to give like maybe 1.5 to 2 hours on a daily basis at least. So once if you have that sort of commitment in mind, then it makes sense for you to ensure that you're registering for CP1 immediately. Same thing applies to let's just say a lot of chapters. As we keep going forwards, you will see similar structure. And this is what I was trying to say. These are like the basic chapters. उसके बाद मैंने आपको क्या बोला? उसके बाद I have told you that you will get to life insurance. So there will be certain life insurance products. ये सारे products की आपको understanding चाहिए होगी. Then you go to general insurance. You will have certain general insurance product. You need to understand these life insurance product. Why are they built? What are the general insurance product? Why are they built? And all of that. Once you have done up to this segment, अपने first 0 to 7 मतलब 8 chapters कर लिए, then the actual chapters begin, and then you get into bond and money market, which is investment, and then investment strategy, and so on and so forth. So the first 7-8 chapter, we are laying the groundwork. We are ensuring that we are understanding things and following it up with application in case of certain questions. Now, इसमें भी बहुत सारी चीजें होंगी जो आपको I'm 200% sure you would know for fact. What is bond market? What is money market? Money market अगर किसी को नहीं भी पता है तो it will take only 5-10 minutes for you to be able to understand what it really means and what is the application at the end of the day. So it does not become very difficult. It's just that the fact that there are so many chapters and there may be certain set of things that you have to remember, as a result of which there is this rumor in the air that CP1 is very difficult. You will need what, 400-500 hours. You will definitely need at least 2 attempts and so on and so forth. But that is not the case. If you can devote, if you follow the approach that institute wants you to follow, if you're able to follow all of these chapters exactly during the class, remember certain mnemonics in order to ensure your life gets easier during the examination, and follow this process so as to say, in that case CP1 will become very simple and easy for you. At least very simple and easy nahi bhi, to at least it'll end up becoming you will not be like thrown out into the darkness. You will still have some sort of understanding ki where is it directionally that you're moving, right? Yes, Devansh.
सर मेरे को पूछा था जैसे हम अभी मई में एग्जाम दे रहा
Hmm.
CP1 का। मेरा सिलेबस एंड ऑल सारा कवर हो गया है, सो आई वांटेड टू नो कि मेरे को अभी क्या करना चाहिए। आइडियली मेरा अभी 20 days है ऑलमोस्ट एग्जाम्स में,
Mm-hmm.
सो व्हाट शुड बी माय आइडियल स्ट्रेटजी।
Got it. Let's get to Q&A towards the end. I thought it was within this. Last में मैं सारे question लूंगा, और अगर किसी का एक May में है तो more than happy to give you guys the guidance for that as well, right? So initially ये आपका subject matter हो गया. You get to this, you come over here, you understand everything, and then you will have a basic path as to कि आपको आगे कैसे बढ़ना है. Now let me just show you maybe a quick question paper. There is one question paper that I generally show because it's a very good question paper. And with that question paper, I'll also try to show you what is it that we really try to come up with. Class schedule, etc. While I was thinking, I'll be discussing towards the end, but classes are only weekends because most of the people who give it are usually, are usually the people who are working professionals. So your classes are going to be weekends, which is Saturday and Sunday, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30, 11, 12, 1. Yes, 1:30 PM IST. So that's usually the timing. 11:30 pay. This is exactly the time that we'll be starting, and we'll be doing this, right? Now let me show you one question, with one question paper, which I usually find to be one of the best. Allow me just a second. All right. This is September 2022, wherein the paper one was, I would say, above average. Recently, paper one it has consistently been, becoming easier and easier. But here the paper one was slightly above average. Now, let me show you guys, and let me prove whatever I was telling was indeed correct. I think at least जो मैंने बोला था कि 70, 80, 90% of the things that you will see within the question paper are going to be the things that you have general knowledge also on, or you would understand because you have done CM1, CS1, CS2, CM2. Now let's just see what kind of question they have come up with. An investor is considering investing in one of the following funds. So either he wants to invest in a UK government bond fund with a target return of 1%, UK equity fund with a target return of 3%. The funds are exactly the same size. They are both well diversified and have the same fund manager, right? So there's the same fund manager doing this. Size is also exactly the same, more or less similar, and they are both well diversified as well. Now the question is, suggest possible reasons why the predicted target return for the two funds are different. Now, even if, let's just say, I don't ask you this from the CP1 perspective, I in general ask you, why do I expect or why do I target a 3% return when I'm going for equities versus bonds? You will at least come up with two to three solutions, and you will say, sir, it's common sense, right? In equities, I'm taking a little more risk. There's greater volatility, as a result of which I will anticipate slightly higher return, right? So from that perspective, if I have to talk about it, the answer to this question is something that you guys already know. You already are aware ki why do I target slightly higher return in case of equity versus bond? And the reason why they have given this line in the question paper is to ensure that you don't talk about size. So they're basically telling you, don't tell me the reason being size, that the government fund might be smaller, equity might be bigger, or any way other, any way around. And then you're trying to give that answer, or say that, okay, this might be highly diversified, the other one might be more concentrated. So wo sare points is something that they don't want you to give. They don't want to tell you that, okay, there is a different fund manager here versus here. This is a better fund manager, as a result of which you will anticipate high return. So that is not what they want you to answer. So they're trying to tell you, don't talk about size, don't talk about diversification, and don't talk about expertise of the fund manager. Other than these 3 points, tell me the reason why the target or the targeted return for these two are different. Now, because it is so easy, even if I ask you to write down answers, you're going to come up with those 2 3 points which I said. But sadly, the fact of the matter over here is, within these questions, they are able to figure out who are the ones who are more prepared and who are the ones who are not. So people who write only volatility and all of that, you will probably get 2.5, maybe up to 3. But people who know CP1 as a subject will have to understand this as you move forward, that this is question number 1, wherein anything less than 4 is a big loss to you. So this is a question wherein you can't afford to lose even 0.5 marks, which means you have to write the answer to this in the way that institute wants you to write. So, and there is a way that they want you to write, which we'll get to later. So अगर आप बहुत general answer लिख के आओगे, you'll still get 2.5. अगर आप proper answer लिख के आओगे, you'll get 3.5 to 4. So that is the difference that your answers and the depth of your answers is going to create in case of this subject. There is no other difference as such. Similar to that, if I go for, let's just say, other questions as well, अगर someone would have done CB1, आपको हल्का फुल्का sensitivity analysis का idea होगा. Here they have said the regulation of a DB scheme in a country requires that assumptions used to determine the provision for liabilities are actuary's best estimate for future expectation plus a margin for prudence. Now, this might seem very technical for a lot of you guys who have not been working or who have no idea about it. CB1 say you might get some idea, but people who are working will be able to at least understand, acha, what is it really asking you. Now, the question is, outline how sensitivity analysis can be used to determine appropriate margin for prudence. Now, sensitivity analysis, agar aap koi bhi question paper mein, if you just write sensitivity analysis or stochastic modeling, this is a specific type of question. This question comes repeatedly, every 2 to 3 terms, it will repeat itself, can come for anywhere from 4 to 7 marks. And whenever you see this question, you have to again score full on these questions. So this is how you have to target your approach, create an approach wherein you know for a fact that these are the questions which are home run questions, and you have to score full in this set of questions. Now, ये तो हो गए full वाले questions for reasons like here you understand it, and here this is a repeated question, which of course you will get to know when you're studying the chapters in a slightly more detailed manner. Now let's come to question which is slightly more technical. अगर किसी ने पहले भी मेरा ये attend किया होगा seminar, you will know. There's a reason I like this question a lot. So if someone has already attempted, already seen, please do not answer. I told you that we'll be looking at a question as well. Let this be that question. There are multiple reasons why I like this question. Number one, it is a little challenging, but at the same time not too challenging that people won't be able to understand what this question really asks for you, right? So people who have just basic understanding will be able to understand this. So let's see what this question is saying, and then I'll keep the forum open. I would want to you guys to take a crack at this question as well, and then we'll do a brief discussion in order to bust more myths surrounding CP1. The question over here says there's an insurance company which has just reviewed its pricing assumptions. किसी को उतना नहीं भी समझ में pricing assumptions, so they have just basically reviewed how should I price. It's as simple as that. Following the review, the company revised the annual expense pricing assumption on one of its product to 60 per policy, which means what now what they have done is कि in the pricing assumption that they have, price आप कैसे करते हो? Price के लिए you will look at, okay, what are your overall expenses, what is the total profit that you want, what is the commission that you're paying, and all of those things. So वो सारे pricing में उन्होंने क्या किया है? They have basically said that my renewal expense, which is basically an expense that I'm incurring, I will price that at 60 for each and every policy. Next up, they have said the annual expense for this product over the recent years has been 85 per policy. So they're telling you that in the pricing, you're saying for every policy which you will sell, you will add 60 per policy for renewal expense, right? At the same time, they're telling you that over the recent years, the cost that has actually been incurred on this product is 85 per policy. So आपका actual 85 लग रहा था, आप 60 charge कर रहे हो. And the question again is very simple, but it's more tricky than what it looks like, which I've told 2-3 times. So I think you might try to think deeper about it. Discuss possible reasons why annual renewal expense has been set to less than the average over the last few years. Now, discuss possible reasons is a kind of a question. The fact that it says discuss means you're not just supposed to write, you're supposed to slightly elaborate, not in long paragraphs, but in a bit of like 2-3 lines आपको लिख के explain करना है. So that is what discuss tells you. Possible reasons matlab think of what are the reasons. So pick up multiple reasons. Say it can happen because of reason A, it can happen because of reason B, and then give a explanation to that. So the ask of the question over here is think of a few reasons why you believe that this is the thing which would have happened, and also explain why it would have happened. So ये वाला पार्ट जो है यहाँ पे बहुत लोग गलती कर देते हैं. डिस्कस पॉसिबल रीजंस की जगह वो क्या कर देते हैं, दे डिस्कस पॉसिबल रीजन. what do I mean by that? They will pick up one reason कि इस वजह से हो सकता है, और उसके ऊपर एक मतलब 2 पन्ने का ऐसे लिख के आ जाते हैं. If you write a 2-pager essay for a single reason, no matter how much in depth you write, you will still not get more than 1.5 to 2. So you have to write multiple reasons. That is one, and you have to explain it properly, ensuring that you don't explain it too much because there's limited time, but at the same time you don't leave it behind. ऐसा नहीं कि आप explain कर ही नहीं रहे हो, because if you don't explain, you're not going to get marks. So that's one of the tricks behind the question. So with that, more than happy to give you guys like 4-5 minutes. Up on the chat box, can you just give me like few reasons why you think it would have happened? Don't focus on discuss. I don't want elaborative answers. I'm just looking for answers from you guys. हाँ, मतलब इस तरह से हिमांशी, the way that you have addressed, I want others to come up with similar answers as well. So regulatory requirement 1, perfect answer. To meet competition, reducing expense will, ये ठीक है. Market capturing, Jatan, yours and Himanshi's second point are kind of somewhat similar in tone, and those are again correct. Reduction in future inflation expectations, that can also happen. Reduction in claim amount is a very good point, Nalin. So first few points were good. One of the better points which I have seen so far, which requires a little bit of understanding, is reduction in claim amounts. So that is a very good point. Anything else that you guys can think of other than this? Think through, read the question again, read the premise of the question again. ये जो लिखा है इसको थोड़ा और अच्छे से पढ़ो. and think of what else could have happened other than the reasons that you guys have already given. We have like 37, 38 students. Of course, you guys can collectively come up with at least a few points. Just think of what else could be the reasons. And these are all right answers. This is what is expected in the answer. Maybe they have increased the price of other product which are less sold. So you're increasing the price of other products and then you're trying to decrease the price of this. Could have happened. Uh, Change in mortality experience is not entirely incorrect, but thoda sa deviate ho raha hai from what they're asking. Loss leader can be there, that they want to be loss leader, which is similar to what someone had said ki you want to get a better market share. ठीक है, अभी तक आप लोग के आंसर जो है, it is actually slightly better than what I usually get. Now it can be something related to shareholders requirement. Now let me give you a couple of hints, and with that hint tell me what could be the reason. So I'll highlight and you have to tell me. I'm not going to say anything. चलो मतलब I think I've given a lot of hints to you guys by now. इस hint से अगर आपको कोई point मिल रहा हो, अच्छा wait, you have given certain answers. So now I'm getting those points. Yes, Yasharth and Tirth, ki volumes would have increase in the number of policies that has been sold, as a result of which expense would have reduced. चलो मैंने जब hint आपको दिया तो आपने वो, then you gave me that right answer. Let me also ask you one more thing. एक second. एक और hint मैं आपको देता हूँ. I don't know if someone gave that answer पहले ही. तुम इधर market capture ये. Law of art number to sell more number of policies increasing, volume of business has increased. Maybe the expected condition of the upcoming years are different than the year. Yes. So the thing is, what the institute basically wants out of you, and CP1 में how do you distinguish yourself? इसका clear example देने के लिए ये question is one of the best in order to be able to understand why is there a difference. I mean, people who fail also, मैंने ऐसे किसी को नहीं देखा है कि कोई 10 मार्क लाके फेल हो गया, जो यूजुअली CM1 या CS1 में फिर भी हो जाता है. बट इसमें कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होता कि यू फेल बाय लाइक एकदम ऐसा कि मतलब 50 वाज द पास मार्क एंड यू आर गेटिंग 5. दैट डज नॉट हैपन. बिकॉज अगर आप गए हो, आपको ये समझ में आ रहा है, तो देयर विल बी सर्टेन पॉइंट्स दैट एवरीवन विल राइट. आई मीन इट्स कॉमन सेंस टू राइट द फर्स्ट few points on this. कोई भी इसको blank छोड़ के नहीं आएगा. So you're definitely not going to get a zero on this, right? There's no way that you'll get a zero on this question. It's a very easy question just by plain reading. But what ends up creating in this question and other questions also is 20% of the question paper of CP1 is going to be like this. So let me just reiterate you what kind of questions you can expect. Question number 1 is where it is a seemingly easy question, but to make a difference from 2.5 to 4, you have to ensure that you're writing it in the way that institute wants from you. That is one. Second question is, let me just put it in the category. It's a theoretical question. Someone who has studied the book will be able to answer it. Someone who has not studied the book will be getting a 0, yeah, maybe 0.5, maybe 1 on this. This is the second variety of question. Third is the variety of question like this, wherein using comprehension will help you get to like 3 marks, maybe 3.5, maybe even up to 4. But two things which become very important is understanding the premise of the question and understanding what is the ask of the question. So reading the background carefully and reading the ask of the question carefully is what will make or break in this question, right? And for question number 5, not a lot of people do well. So these are the differentiator questions for you. Is question may the person who does well will get very good marks. The person who is not able to do well in this kind of a question will end up struggling a little. So here you have to comprehend the question. It's more of an analytical question, reading question या comprehensive question. आपको अगर comprehension click हुआ कि अच्छा per policy हो सकता है, over the recent years, अच्छा over the recent years my expense might be 1 crore, but this year I'm not spending 1 crore. So what do I do about it? So my expense might have gone down. My 60 per policy is what I'm charging. 85 is what it used to be, but it is per policy. So the per policy को जो miss करेगा ना, he will lose out on 1.5 marks unnecessarily. And over the recent years को जो miss करेगा, he will also lose out on 1.5 marks. So 3 marks basically goes for a toss just by missing the comprehension. And then other points like ठीक है, loss leader बनना है, market share gain करना, it is generic, which I discussed a couple of questions back also. So those are the points that everyone will write. What will make your answer differentiated and what will create the difference of 50 being the pass marks versus you getting 55 are these set of questions, right? So all in all, if I have to summarize CP1, you have to basically go through the entire content. You have to go through the content in as less time as you possibly can, and at the same time you have to spend a lot of time in these set of questions or these type of questions, understanding what the institute really wants out of you, because that is matlab ye question used to be much different earlier, but here you have to play according to the institute. So institute has certain tricks up their sleeve. Like I said, this was a slightly more tricky question. आपको एक एग्जाम में अगर क्लिक कर गया कि चलो ये एक ट्रिकी क्वेश्चन है जो दूसरों के लिए ट्रिकी है, बट इट इज नॉट ट्रिकी फॉर यू फॉर दीज 3 रीजंस, दैट इज वेयर यू क्रिएट अ डिफरेंस फॉर योरसेल्फ एंड CP1 suddenly starts becoming much more easier. So you have to follow the process rigorously in case of CP1 in order to ensure that you are able to do well. And trust me, whatever I am telling you over here, the set of things that I have told you guys over here, these are the methods, these are the factors, these are the differentiators. It is not just applicable for CP1, but the same set of things are also applicable in case of SP and SA level papers as well. ये जो practices आप follow कर रहे हो, same thing if you apply to SP SA level paper, wherein you are understanding, okay, this is a discussed question. They're asking me possible reasons, which means I need to give 4 or 5 variety of reasons. And then there are certain things hidden in the question, which I will have to ensure I'm picking it up carefully and then answering it accordingly. Those are the things which will end up making all the difference. And then, yes, I'm not trying to paint a rosy picture over here. There will be certain questions which will be difficult. For example, ये question है. अब this question number 12 towards the end they have kept a difficult question. ये अगर आप पढ़े हो बहुत अच्छे से और एग्जाम में क्लिक हुआ तो ही होगा. So there are certain set of questions within the paper which will be dynamic, I would say. कि it is like if in the exam ये question click हुआ तो हुआ, नहीं हुआ तो नहीं हुआ. So there you have to also be careful कि चलो ये वो type का question है. I should not ideally waste 15 minutes on this question because anyways it is a difficult one. So that level of maturity and understanding should be there कि जब एक question paper आप देख रहे हो in case of CP1, 3 whatever April हो गया, May, June, July, August, 4 months from now, whenever you are looking at a question paper, you are able to differentiate कि ये book work है, ये टेक्निकल है, इसमें थोड़ा प्रैक्टिकल पॉइंट्स डालना है, और ये एक थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन है जिसमें it's not worth spending more than 5 mark का है, तो I'll spend 8 to 9 minutes, but I'm not going to spend 15 minutes trying to maximize my points over here, because here you will not maximize points, you will only struggle at the end of the period that you have spent. And usually there are certain tricks which you will realize later on कि पेपर 1 में क्या करते हैं ना, लास्ट के जो 2 क्वेश्चन होते हैं generally those are very easy. So last 2 questions they will intentionally keep very easy and they will have high allocation. So here see it as 14. This has also got 14. This also has 13. Towards the end there will be 13, 14, 15, 20 marks का question which will be slightly more easier. पहले आप struggle करोगे time पे and then later on when you come over here you will realize अरे time नहीं है, अब फटफट लिख के आगे बढ़ना है. And those will be a little more easier questions as well. So these are all the tricks basically that you have to understand. Institute has certain tricks up their sleeve. If you're able to understand that, if you're able to differentiate the questions, and most importantly if you're able to manage time during the examination, trust me, I've seen so many people doing exceptionally. मगर मैं अगर मैं उनको 5 घंटे का मॉक दूं वो 80 लेके आएंगे, बट एग्जाम में वो 55 भी नहीं ला पा रहे हैं बिकॉज ऑफ पुअर टाइम मैनेजमेंट. सो दैट इज super duper important in case of CP and SPSA level paper, that you are able to manage your time super efficiently. Now that is again something which will come with practice. The more questions you do, and to each their own, you have to identify for yourself. अगर मैं आपको अपना बताऊं, मैंने आई से दिया था, so we had less than, I think we have now 190 195 minutes, something like that. It was pen and paper that I had given, it is back in the time. So मेरा एक simple approach था that every 15 minutes I used to see my clock, and I had to ensure that in every 15 minutes I have at least done 8 marks का. So that is what my idea was कि अगर मैं उतना कर रहा हूं तो I am fine. If not, अगर मान लो आधा घंटा हो गया और मैंने 12 मार्क्स का ही किया है, that means I am 4 marks behind, which means in the next 15 minutes I'll try to cover up and speed it up so that it does not so happen कि लास्ट के आधे घंटे में मुझे 40 मार्क का करना है. So that is the kind of situation that you don't want to get yourself into, and for that you have to be very very thoroughly prepared कि ये सारे problems हैं and उनके solutions इस तरीके से हैं. That is a very very super broad overview of what CP1 is. Why is it difficult? How can you tackle it a little more efficiently? 400 आवर्स पे मैं कमेंट नहीं करूंगा, दैट इज वेरी सब्जेक्टिव. बट इफ यू आस्क मी, अगर मैं आपको एक रेंज दूं ऑफ द नंबर ऑफ आवर्स दैट यू हैव टू डू, आई वुड सजेस्ट द क्लासरूम आवर्स विल बी 90, 45 to 50 sessions of anywhere between, you know, 1 hour 45 minutes to 2 hours each. So 90 to 100 hours is the maximum. 90 to 95 hours during the class is what you have to spend. Alongside that, you have to spend like a couple of hours, or let's just say 3 hours every 2 days, which means another 90 hours in class plus 150 hours of your self study plus a few mocks को मैं extra दे रहा हूँ, जो question paper आप last में करोगे should be more than sufficient. So you have to basically get, let's just say 250 to 260 hours, and consistency is going to be the key. It is not your CM1. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आप एक हफ्ते में पिकअप किया आपने, आज प्रॉफिट टेस्टिंग किया, कल कुछ किया, उसके नेक्स्ट डे यू डू समथिंग एल्स, एंड ओवर अ वीक यू आर एबल टू लाइक यू नो डू द एंटायर सिलेबस. दैट इज नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन ओवर हियर. रिटेंशन के लिए टाइम लगेगा. क्रिएट ग्रैंड लिस्ट्स याद करना है तो आज भी देखना पड़ेगा, एंड 1 week later also you have to go back and revisit. So it is going to be, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, which is something that a lot of people keep repeating here and there, but in case of CP1 it is actually true. So for someone, to put the final conclusionary remark, for someone who wants to ensure that you're giving it in this term, ask yourself where you're standing. If you do this well, your SPSA level papers will become very very, I would say, within your grasp. It won't look like a black box to you after that at any point of time. And if you are willing to devote ki, no matter how hard the day, you will at least give 30 minutes कि आप 30 मिनट में पन्ने पलटा के सिर्फ वो देख लो कि आपके जो, मान लो आप भाई के शादी में भी गए हो यार, 15 मिनट तो आप कहीं पे भी निकाल सकते हो. इट्स लाइक यू हैव that mind maps. Just see that mind maps anywhere, yaar. You can at least get 15 to 30 minutes out on no matter how busy a day that you have. So in those busy days, even if you're seeing that and that recollection is there, it will help your cause. So it's like you have to decide for yourself how you spend that time. Even while you're traveling, अगर आप create grand list देख रहे हो तो वो आपको याद रहेगा. Similar to that, there are of course other mnemonics as well. So you have to use your time efficiently. I don't want you sitting 2 hours on a daily basis in front of your screen or in front of your book. उसके अलावा you can efficiently utilize your travel time or any other time as well. Get 15 to 20 minutes out, and it's better if you like just wake up, spend half an hour before you go to bed, spend half an hour. 1 घंटा से Instagram usage कम कर दो. Even that will help, and other than that, just try to figure out 1 hour here and there, and that will do everything that you need. Even over weekends, I promise you, अगर आप 3 से 4 घंटे दे पा रहे हो maximum, that will be more than sufficient for you to be able to be in a position towards the end wherein you can say कि sir, I have done everything. Question is still going to be here. I'm not saying that everyone who has studied or everyone who has studied from me or everyone who has studied in general will be able to clear. थोड़ा randomness रहता है exam के time पे भी, but if you have prepared yourself for all of this, and if you are most importantly able to manage time well at the end of the day, you will not be in a position जहाँ पे you will say कि sir, अगर ये कर लेता तो ये better होता. At least that is what we want to minimize. So you have to ensure that you're super well prepared when you're sitting for the examination, doing all of these things. And like I said, certain things are very random within this. So unlike in case of other subjects wherein I can tell you, अच्छा let's just say Brownian motion difficult है, तो Brownian motion difficult है तो आप छोड़ के चले जाओ एक ऑप्शन, या उसको इतना अच्छे से कर लो कि सारे क्वेश्चन आपको आते हैं. Both alternatives you can follow and clear. Sadly, that is not practically possible in this case, because more or less you pick up any question paper, there are two papers, paper 1 paper 2. I've already told you 8 से 9 मार्क्स का मिस्टेक करने का आपके पास लीवे है, उससे ज्यादा मिस्टेक आप कर नहीं सकते. So you cannot leave any specific chapter out, and there are certain papers जहां पे पहले 3 क्वेश्चंस आ जाएंगे पहले ही चैप्टर से या थर्ड चैप्टर से. एंड इफ यू लीव दैट, बेसिकली मान लो आपने थर्ड चैप्टर नहीं किया, पहले 3 क्वेश्चन आ गए थर्ड चैप्टर से, तो यू आर बेसिकली इन फॉर अ टॉस, राइट? So those are the reasons why CP1 becomes difficult, and those are the things, if you use that to your advantage, knowing that these are the things makes it difficult for others, but you're well prepared, your answers are anyways going to stand out. And ultimately अगर मैं IFoA के perspective से बोलूं तो it's a competitive exam. It's like, मतलब more or less it's like only a certain set of, let's just say 50% of the people are going to pass, rest 50 are not, so you have to be above that top 50, maybe you have to be in the top quartile. In case of II, while it mentally I would say that it is slightly easier, 5-10% easier होगा, but here also थोड़ा mark deduction ज़्यादा होता है. So even if you write correct points, there may be, अगर examiner का mood थोड़ा खराब है आपके marks काट देगा. So there also you have to be a little more prepared, that you write answers in a way that makes life easier for the examiner to be able to check it. Within that, जो लंबे लंबे paragraphs आप लिख के आते हो वो भूल जाओ. जो आपने क्लास 10-12 में किया होगा कि एक लंबा पैराग्राफ लिख दिया, उसमें सारे पॉइंट्स डाल दिए, दैट इज नॉट समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू, दैट यू आर अलाउड टू डू ओवर हियर. सो दोज आर लाइक the very high level best practices that I would suggest you implement in case of CP, and you will find for yourself that your life will become easier. So long 1 hour monologue from my end kind of ends here. I will be picking up questions from you. Please, everyone who has questions, you can raise your hands, or if you don't want to speak up, you can put it on the chat box. I'll first go for the people who are raising their hands and take up one question after the other. Yes, Himanshi, please go ahead.
So by when, if I'm preparing for planning for November diet, right? So by when should I ideally, finish at least the syllabus once? What should be my timeline in that sense?
See, again, I'm see
I know
CP1,
it's
like
quite subjective,
no,
but
no, I know it is,
given
it is
the
subjective.
yeah,
Subjective तो it's a general term. Subjective बोल के अगर मैं answer छोड़ दूँ तो it's no help for you or for me.
yes,
But like I said, it is, there are two ways to it, right?
Mhm.
One way is कि, and this is perhaps the wrong way. जैसे हमारा एक mental blockade रहता है ना, ये कि let's just say if I'm picking up something, एक मान लेते हैं कि कोई भी पेपर है, जैसे CM1 है, let's just pick it. CM1 में what you will do is do the chapters, do the questions, chapters questions, chapter question करके आपने खत्म किया, and you would want at least 1.5 month ताकि आप सारे questions वापस कर सकते हो, correct?
yes,
That does not apply in case of CP1. So in case of CP1, even if you are completing everything just 5 days before the examination, sadly I completed just 2 days before the examination my last chapter, मैंने बस 2 days पहले किया था, definitely not recommended to anyone. I'm just telling you what works and what does not. But the way I prepared wasn't like, yeah, I'll do chapter 1 and then complete all the way to 38 and then again go back to chapter 1 and then come forward. So what I applied was that any chapter which I do, I will ensure that it is done and dusted, which means मैंने chapter 1 to 5 किया, and at that point of time I started doing my revision notes. Certain things even I didn't know back in the time, I wish if I knew I would have probably done maybe better. And then what I did was कि when I'm doing chapter 7, 8 and 9, I will still try to go back and look at certain mind maps, certain flashcards or whatever was available back then, in order to ensure that there is retention. आप चैप्टर, अगर आप दूसरा अप्रोच फॉलो कर रहे हो सिमिलर टू अदर चैप्टर्स, देन इन दैट केस आई वुड से कि अगर आपको नवंबर में एग्जाम देना है तो यू शुड कंप्लीट एवरीथिंग बाय लेट्स से जून तक आपको एक बार सिलेबस देख लेना चाहिए. अगर यू आर फॉलोइंग की 1 to 38 का आपको
yeah,
3 राउंड करना है, if you're doing that, then you have to complete
Mhm.
everything at least once by June. If you are
Okay,
following the other approach wherein once you have done everything, you are like sure कि सर आप ये मैंने कर लिया है, आप इसमें से मुझे क्वेश्चन पूछ लो, I will definitely be able to address that at least to 80-90% efficiency. In that case, like completing it even 4 weeks before the examination should be fine, because like I said, there are certain things which are very well interconnected, but वो पता नहीं होता. जैसे ACC
okay,
का developing the solution is actually taken from chapter 17, 18, 19, and there are certain interconnectedness. So it's like when you go to chapter 17, 18, 19, you should come back and see, अच्छा ACC में ये था, 17, 18, 19 में ये, okay, I have now connected the dots. So your revision for chapter 1 is also happening at that point of time. And then you are maybe again solving a couple of questions wherein 1 and 17, 18, 19 are interconnected. and then you go forwards. Similar to that, 21 will also be interconnected to chapter 5 for that matter. 27 is connected to 5, 30, 32 or 33 is also connected to 5. So that way, when you're going forwards, you're also coming backwards. And then once the loop closes, that is when you will realize कि चलो ठीक है, everything is done. Because chapter 1 में मैं आपको क्या बोलूंगा, developing the solution, I'll say write these 4 points, and then we go to 17, 18, 19, and then I say, see, this is the reason why I told you to write this, and
Okay.
that's why it becomes slightly so. In general, first approach, follow it, complete it by June. Second approach, where you're comprehensively doing it, complete it at least 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks before the examination. uh
Thank you.
Prisha, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, is it true that if we have a good work experience, it is easier to comprehend CP1?
Can you come again? Sorry, I lost you.
Like I've heard that if you are working and you have a good work experience, it becomes easier to comprehend CP1 as a subject.
I I also had similar year. So let me tell you, like 1.5 years back, we didn't have a single student who was didn't have a single is of course an exaggeration, but let's just say we didn't have a lot of students who were still at college, right? Last year, like I said, there was this one student who did exceptionally well, got paper two thoda unka kharab ho gaya, but still he was able to do like very well overall. So summarizing it, I would say, if you are working, it is going to help. Certain areas where you will get better help as compared to others will be, मान लो अगर आप लाइफ में काम कर रहे हो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल लाइफ के प्रोडक्ट्स विल बी वेरी इजी फॉर यू. Certain things which I would have said over here, I don't know. Are you a working professional by any chance?
No, I just graduated last month, so like I'm looking for internships.
Acha. So let me tell you where it kind of creates a deviance. See, in case of अगर आप life में हो तो life के certain products, life के certain questions will become slightly more easy. जैसे question number 2 will probably become easier for someone who's already working into pensions because he knows अच्छा requirement assumptions ये सब कैसे होता है. Basically he has done it, right? So all in all, yes, it is a differentiator. Is it a very big differentiator? I think no. Earlier I used to think yes. So that's why we didn't enroll a lot of students during. मतलब हम one on one पूछ लेते थे कि भैया these are the caveats. If you are okay with these caveats, only then enroll for CP1 because you're still a college grad. But right now we have realized that a lot of students who are still college grads are giving it and are giving it exceptionally well. So for that reason, we have realized that you are, if even if you are a college grad, you're not at a disadvantage or something. It's just that someone who's working in that specific domain might have a slight edge over you because question number 2, he will be able to understand better than you. But again, you have to understand this thing. Then there becomes no limit to madness. मान लेते हैं you're going for an internship, you get an internship in pension. Now your question number 2 is sorted. Aapka 2 is absolutely sorted. But that does not, and maybe 3 also. DB defined benefit scheme. But let's see. Question number 6. Now there is a financial derivative. Now, what do? Do you also go and work in investments in order to ensure your 6 becomes easier? So, of course, that cannot be the case, right? So, ultimately, if I have to say, someone who is working will be at a 5 to 10% advantage as compared to someone who is not. But if I look at the other way around, are you at a disadvantage? I would not say so because you have better time. You can give more time to CP1. If you're still like not working full time, तो आप थोड़ा ज़्यादा time देके अगर CP1 का heavy lifting कर लो, maybe ask anyone who's a senior who has probably done it or who has probably not done it. That will give you a much better understanding. Someone who has done it will be able to tell you that, okay, if you are done with it, your life will become easier. Someone who has not done it will probably be able to tell you that please go for it and you should ideally be done with it before you start your work, because this has been one of the most dreaded sections as far as what I've seen. So yes, they'll be at a 5% advantage, but are you at a disadvantage? No.
So like irrespective of whether I find the internship before September or I don't find the internship, given the criteria that I'm able to give 1.5 hour on a daily basis on weekdays and weekends पे 3 से 4 घंटे, I
Hmm.
should go for the paper, right? September attempt के लिए.
My personal I'm see, thoda bias of course will be there because here I am here, but forget CP1. My always what I tell everyone is ki ensure that you're giving papers. As long as of course कि किसी का financial difficulty है, that is a very different thing altogether. I don't want to comment on that. But if it does not pose a significant ये कि financial कोई issue है या something like that, as long as that is not the case, always ensure that you're going for papers. And when I say go for papers, I'm not counting CB3, CP2 and CP3 within that. वो तीन को मैं पेपर्स काउंट नहीं करता. Other than those three, there are those 10 set of papers. So for that reason, I would definitely assume that you should go for it, especially as a college grad or someone who has just graduated. अगर आपको कोई next paper देना है, definitely give CP1. This will make your life easier. You study yourself whatever you want to do, but give CP1. That would be my only
Okay, sir.
yeah.
Thank you.
Chen Agarwal. So basically, start with the past papers and assets when we are done with 50-60% of the syllabus. No, you start with past papers, assets as your kind of assets. Nahi, past papers you should kind of go backwards and look at it because revision notes are very flawed. Revision notes में 30-40% flaw है. तो अगर आप revision notes पे बहुत ज़्यादा mind डाल दोगे, if you're like following revision notes to the T, last में you will realize कि sir, मतलब you have wired your brain in a certain way, and later on when you're going and looking at the past papers, you will realize अरे ये क्या हो गया. So one thing that you should do whenever you're solving revision notes, कहीं पे भी अगर 1% भी friction लगे ना कि September 2021 क्वेश्चन नंबर 5 सब पार्ट 2 इन रिविजन नोट्स का आंसर से आप सेटिस्फाइड नहीं हो या 1% भी आपको लग रहा है कि कुछ ऊपर नीचे है, मूव टू द past question paper and look at it. If you have assets, move to assets and then look at it. So that is what you have to follow. CMP plus revision note. Revision note, even slight friction, go and look at assets, go and look at past papers, and then wherever there is a error, you will realize कि अच्छा इसमें कुछ गड़बड़ है, वो कुछ और है. Because understand this thing, assets and revision notes are prepared by acted. Question paper and suggested answers are prepared by the institute, IFoA. So when two different people are preparing something in a question paper or in a answer where things can be subjective, in that kind of a situation, you will realize that there will be a problem. Another one thing why I don't like revision notes for that matter, and maybe I'll show it with a question also. Maybe let's just say this question. इसमें क्या होगा revision note में 8 का sub part 1 is what they will put in risk, and 8 ka sub part 3 is something that they will probably put in profits. But trust me, more or less, a lot of these questions are deeply interconnected. If you read 8 sub part 1 and this background which is given to you, this background helps you with part 1 in certain situations, but it is definitely going to help you with other questions as well. And you have to draw some sort of inference from the past questions too. So 8 part 1, 8 part 2 will be helpful when you're solving 8 part 3, which is again one thing where revision notes don't help you. ASET still will help. So this is again one thing that you have to, as you move forward, you will have to identify for yourself कि इतना रिविजन नोट के बाद मुझे ये क्वेश्चंस और ये देखना है. एंड ऑफ कोर्स to address your question towards the end, when you're done with 50-60% of the syllabus, then more focus should shift towards question papers rather than solving revision notes. And this is why CP1 again, like I said, it becomes difficult. आप 8 sub part 1 ये आपके रिस्क चैप्टर में आप करोगे, वहां पे दिख जाएगा आपका, you already know that the answer to this is going to be these 4 things. So then it becomes easier. But the same question, if I give you on a question paper, wherein now you don't know that this is from this specific chapter, there you will not be able to understand किसको कहाँ पे आपको bucket करना है. This is not like CM1 where profit testing is a specific chapter and something else is a specific chapter. It becomes a little more different. So you have to solve as many questions as you possibly can in order to be able to get better at it. Swati says I've cleared the CT series paper and CP3 and have also appeared for CP2 in April 2025 diet. For September diet, we usually have less time compared to April diet. I'm confused if I should appear for CP1 in this diet or go for SP series paper and also start with CP1 but appear for it in April 26. So Swati, you have yourself given the answer to this. Both are okay approaches, but instead of starting with this mindset that you will give SP but prepare for CP1, I would suggest आप इसका उल्टा करो. You start with CP1 with this mindset that you will give CP1 only and then move on to something else. क्योंकि CP1 अगर आपका हो गया, trust me, if you are done with CP1, SPSA level papers का understanding will be better, and at that point of time you will also be able to get कि अच्छा इन सारे questions को how do you tackle in a better way. But yes, if you want to follow the other route, I would suggest in that case maybe start preparing for CP1 but focus on SP5 maybe, because SP5 is slightly more easier than other SP level papers, and then you can follow that approach where you're giving SP5 in this term but you're preparing for CP1 and then appearing for CP1 in the next term. or you can all the way turn it around, give only SP5 right now and CP1 also. So if I have to put ranks to it, I would say number one should be CP1. 60%, 70%. My suggestion would be study for CP1, give CP1, keep SP5 as a backup for now. Because one more thing which happens in case of CP1 is कि investments are slightly more detailed as compared to pension and others. So if someone wants to give a generic SP level paper which is SP5, SP5 का अच्छा खासा progress हो जाएगा by the time you're done with 20% of CP1 syllabus as well. Yeah, Swati.
Sir, actually, the thing is, I'm already working and I'm in
अच्छा,
general
oh,
insurance domain, so I was planning to give SP8.
then it becomes tricky. Then अगर आप if you're fully committed to कि आपको SP8 देना है, then don't follow this approach. Have you given SP8 in the past? Hello? Because if you've given SP8 in the past, then it becomes slightly, matlab, then the approach can be slightly different. But if you have not given SP7 or SP8 in the past, uh, and let's just say you're 100% sure you want to give SP8, then focus totally on SP8. SP7, so hey, difficult. SP8 is even more difficult than SP7 because there it is a little more theoretical. So then I wouldn't suggest that you work as well and you focus on SP8 and you study for CP1. तो वो थोड़ा random हो जाएगा. Then you focus on either or SP8 या CP1. Either or should be the approach, but CP1 ke learnings are definitely going to be able to help you in any advanced level papers. I think I'm losing. I can't hear you. Maybe others can. I don't know. But if you're able to hear me, that would be my suggestion.
Hello, sir. Sorry, I lost you completely. I didn't hear the answer.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what I was saying was, have you given SP7 or SP8 in the past?
No, no, not yet.
Have you gone through the syllabus once? आपने मतलब have you seen it?
For SP8, yes, yes.
So between SP7 and SP8, SP7 is thought to be more difficult. SP8 is actually more difficult when it comes to scoring, right?
Hmm.
So if you're like fully committed कि you'll give only SP level paper आपको देना ही है SP7 or SP8, then I would suggest that go for that one specific paper. I mean, pick it up whichever one you think is better for you, and then go for it. Maybe you're working in reserving, so you want to do that, and commit yourself fully to it. In that situation, I won't suggest कि आप CP1 पे भी और incremental time waste करो. There's work plus SP8 plus CP1 for September term is not recommended. Work plus SP8 plus CP1 might be recommended if you're going for April term.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But then should I focus on CP1 right now? Should I appear for CP1, target to appear for CP1 in September, or completely focus on SP series, SP8
So
maybe,
that
or
is
SP7?
always that is always my suggestion to go for CP1. While like I've been giving this disclosure again and again that of course I come with a vested interest, but I've chosen this vested interest. I used to teach other subjects. The reason why I've come to CP1 is because I've seen that people struggle with this and the advanced papers as well. And when CP1 में आपके concepts and institutes, tricks, etc., when you're able to crack, those same tricks they apply in SPSA level papers as well. So the learnings kind of are very similar. And CP1, अगर आपको, if you go about it and if you're able to understand everything that we just discussed a while back, you will realize that it's not a difficult paper. And the same thing happens with SPSA level papers also. They also become slightly more easy because there you have to just give one paper once and then clear it, right? So my suggestion would be that yes, September is enough time. If you start like right now, which is let's just say the next week onwards, and you're fully committed to CP1, if
Hmm.
you're 100% to CP1, go for it. And like at that point of time, at least don't focus on SP or SA level papers. And then over the next term, which is like April 2026, I mean, I would like to believe you want to clear papers ASAP. At that point of time, you can give SP7-8 or you can give SP8, SP5, whatever it is. वो दो papers भी आप clear कर पाओगे. Because you merge those two subjects, look at the number of chapters, it will either be equal to or less than CP1. So it is possible. I've seen people clear two papers at once.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. एक second, Hitvi, I'll just, because I was going through these questions, I'll quickly go through it again. Prince says, what do you provide from your side in this course and what is the cost? See, that is going to be told by the admin team. Say, please connect. They'll be able to tell you the cost related things. What do I provide? I provide the material which I just showed you, which I mean, honestly, वो material आपको friend से भी अगर आपको लेना है तो you can take that. But what I provide during the thing is, of course, these materials will go through these materials, will go through specific questions. कुछ एक questions जो आपको मैंने अभी दिखाए will go through similar set of questions in much more depth and in much more detail. So that is going to help you guys in being able to really understand what is the institute asking out of you. अगर मैं आपको एक सिंपल सेंटेंस में बोलूं, मैं I just do one thing, that is guide you guys to move in the right direction in order to ensure that any trick that institute has up their sleeve, you're able to get it done without like having a lot of difficulties. So my focus is very simple, कि मुझे आपका life when you're studying CP1, I have to make that a little more easy. While it sounds a little vague, maybe you can talk to someone who is a senior or who has gone through the course. They'll be able to guide you slightly better. मैं तो अपने बारे में खराब क्यों ही बोलूंगा. So just try to maybe understand from them and that will help you. But otherwise material का कोई वो नहीं है, material तो आपको कहीं से भी मिल जाएगा. But if you are asking what materials, you will get everything. You will get revision notes, assets, and whatever it is there, like the latest CMP and everything. I'm going to give from II. I understand the portion will be completed by September for IFA. Will we have refresher sessions or support calls after that till November? So, Prince, what we do here is we get the course completed. After that, we have doubt sessions. If there are any doubt, more than happy to address that those doubt during sessions there. And after we are done with it, there is one full mock. And during the course, while we are done with anywhere between 40 to 50% of the course, we have one mock. That mock is just to like put a mirror to your face in order to ensure you are able to understand where you really stand. So it will start, let's just say, from May. By 75% of June, will be probably, or end of June, will be done with whatever that syllabus which I told you. That will be followed up with a mock of 50 mark, where you will get detailed evaluation to see where you stand. And then, of course, we'll cover the entire syllabus, and then there will be one full mock of paper 1, paper 2, 100 marks each. Those mocks will also again be detailed, evaluated in detail, and that will follow up with certain what do you call it, doubt clearing sessions towards the end. But by then, I would like to believe ki, and within these sessions, what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at chapters and looking at questions from 2005 onwards. So April 2005 to September 2024, because April 25 का paper I think अभी तक तो upload नहीं हुआ है. This 20 years worth of questions, the more tricky, good and better questions from there is what we'll pick up and ensure that by the time you're done with it, no question should be able to surprise you. So that is what we'll be doing during the course of completion. Priya sir, if you can please tell the class timings until when you will cover the syllabus and stuff. Class timings are fixed. It will happen on Saturday and Sunday. It will start at 11:30. Usual timing for end is, so the way it's structured is 1.5 to 1 hour 45 minutes is what I keep for my lectures. Open it up for Q&A. Q&A will be from your side. It can be 15 minutes Q&A. It can be half an hour Q&A. To the extent possible, unless it becomes 1.5 hour of Q&A, I don't like to say no to any questions. But उतने questions generally आते नहीं कि बहुत सारे questions हम कर भी लेते हैं. Or if sometimes if it is a lot of questions on Saturday, I might push it to on Sunday as well. So simply put it, 11:30 it starts. I try to ensure it ends by 1:30. It can spill over to 1:45 because of Q&A, and there not everyone needs to stand, because if you know the answer, then you can just maybe go and do your own stuff. And it will be on every weekend. Towards the end, depending on where we stand, I don't think it will, but if at all there is a reason to believe that we need some additional class, we can take that. Sir, please also tell how should we go about the preparation. For example, class, the actuator notes, then revision note for the same topic, and side by side past paper once done with 30-40% syllabus is a good approach. Irfan, yes, so that approach, agar मैं एकदम broadly बोलूं, that is correct. Certain deviations होंगे, certain chapter I'll ask you to do certain things which will be slightly difficult or slightly different. Initially, when I ask you to do chapter number 1 or 2 as well, you will realize that few things which I will tell will probably not resonate, at least immediately, but later on you will realize. So ये approach, I would say 80% fit होता है. 20% of exceptions is where I will guide you कि अच्छा ये chapter हो गया है, आप पहले ये करो and then come back and do this. So that guidance will be there. But if you're doing it by yourself, then this approach kind of is 80-90% correct. Arya, आपसे पहले someone had raised hand. Can whoever it was, if you can go ahead, or Arya, maybe you can go ahead. Hetvi, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I am in second year of college. I'll complete my second year right now, and I
हाँ.
have completed CM1, CS1, CS2, and appeared for CM2 and CB2 in this attempt,
Hmm.
April attempt. So should I go for CB1 and some CP2, or should I go for CP1? Because this is like a shorter term, so we are confused that should I go for CP1 in April term or September term is suitable.
सी आपका तब तक भी कॉलेज रहेगा, आप अप्रैल टर्म में भी CP1 दे सकते हो. अगर मैं फ्रैंकली बोलूं, अगर इट बिकम्स टू मच ऑफ अ बर्डन फॉर यू, देन आई वुड नॉट recommend going for CP1 immediately. But again, because you have given all of these papers and you have cleared all of them on a trot, I would like to believe that it will not be that difficult for you, so as to say, because you're just in second year and you have given a lot of papers. तो मैं हर बार यही बोलता हूँ कि CP1 is like the moment you have cleared this paper, your life, or everything else, it kind of becomes a little more easier. You get that confidence as well. So the sooner you're able to clear CP1, the better it will be for you. इसमें मैं बस ये बोल सकता हूँ कि आपका टाइम जो अवेलेबल है अभी से लेके सितंबर टर्म तक, that time is more than sufficient for you to be able to give CP1. Now whether you want to give CP1 or whether you want to give CB1 and CP2 or CB1 and CP3, that is something that I think you will have to decide for yourself, and then next term you can give CP1 as well. Both are good enough approaches, but giving CP1 in this term, um, you may have some self doubt as you're kind of moving forward with, and this isn't a disclaimer that a lot of people are going to give you, but wo thoda self doubt aayega. But the flip side of that is, if you're able to clear CP1 over here, the next term you can up it, and then you can see for yourself what are the other papers you can give. अगर आप उस term में मान लेते हैं CB1 और SP5 दे दो, then you're more or less done, and after that it will be like 2 terms for you within the first year of your uh, uh, like joining the workforce. You can probably become an actuary as well. So again, you have to decide for yourself, एक chalk करो alternate pathways, and then within that, see, does giving CP1 right now in like September term, does it increase the odds of like saving 6 months for you, or making your path going ahead slightly more easier? If the answer to that is yes, then go for it. Otherwise you can go for it in April term as well.
So, sir, is CB1 and CP1 like connected? So, do I need to clear CB1 first?
There is no connection at all.
Okay.
CB1 is a, see, CB, अगर मैं आपको पीछे से जाऊं, मैंने बोला ना वो 3 पेपर को मैं पेपर काउंट नहीं करता. उसके बाद अगर मुझे एक पेपर बोलना पड़े, तो CB2 is a paper that I don't count as paper, and after that CB1 is again a paper which I don't count as paper. It's very basic, but at the same time, yes, if you're coming from, let's just say, science background, then of course it's not that easy. But मतलब ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि doing CB1 is going to help you for CP1. उल्टा फिर भी हो सकता है. Doing CP1 can help you for CB1. Doing CP1 basically helps you for SP, SA level papers and anything else as well. Any
Oh,
theoretical subject for that matter.
thank you, sir.
Yeah. But do a proper matlab, self evaluation session before you kind of sign up for CP1 on September, because you're still in college. And this is not to like, I mean, if you take it up as a challenge, of course, that goes without saying. And see for yourself कि आपके उसमें कहाँ fit हो रहा है ये, जो float chart आप बना रहे हो. Yes, Arya, please go ahead. Anish, I'm coming to your question next.
Yes, sir. What I wanted to ask was that apart from the course material and syllabus, like that's given the theory, so how important is it to kind of stay updated with, like, have like a good general knowledge of what's going on in the industry for
See, ये थोड़ा बाद में is where I like to cover this, but if I have to talk to you about this, general, of course, it becomes important. General में भी वो लोग थोड़े specific होते हैं, if I have to be specific about it, which means that certain set of questions or certain type of questions from the general environment is what they ask you a lot. So मैंने जो आपको third chapter दिखाया था ना, general environment, create grand list, that is just to open up their door कि वो कुछ भी पूछ सके आपको. So when they have put that general economic environment, it basically opens up their arena to ask anything. This usually happens in case of paper 2, जहाँ पे वो कुछ भी variety के questions आपको पूछ सकते हैं. But again, I feel that those questions come from a specific domain, and we'll probably discuss that domain later on. But in general, if I have to talk to you about it, does it give you a help like general knowledge does in case of UPSC? No. How much would it help you अगर आप ये question मुझे पूछो तो, like I said, knowing or being a working professional helps you. I said 5 to 10%. This will probably help you 1 to 2%.
Okay, sir. So
Yeah.
actually, like what happened was my friend he gave CP1 this time. So after speaking to him, he told me that in paper two, one of the questions he found easier to answer, but in the second one, he could also like think of few points, like generate few points, but beyond that, he was also kind of blank. So for such a situation, it just seems little out of control. So what can we do to prepare for that?
See, uske liye again it becomes like you have to see. I am also sadly not privy to the exact question, but this has happened in the past as well. And maybe similar thing you can see for April 2024 paper as well. Uska paper 2 का question 1 was again similar, wherein उसके आप अगर क्वेश्चन पेपर डाउनलोड करो और उसके आंसर देखो तो यू विल रियलाइज कि क्वेश्चन 1 है climate change के ऊपर. Now climate change is one hot topic, they keep asking it. So climate change is one, you will realize in 2 consecutive terms they ask climate change in paper 2. And then pension venture related questions भी उनके आते रहते हैं. So there is a certain limit to madness. But going back to your question, उन set of questions में you have to come up with a way to tie those questions back to what you have studied. तो उन क्वेश्चंस में आपको देखना है कि आपके चैप्टर्स में से क्या है ऐसा जो उसमें रिलेट कर रहा है, क्योंकि वो क्या करेंगे, बहुत जेनरिक काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दे देंगे. एंड दैट इज वेयर व्हेन आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर कि समटाइम्स इवन रेफरिंग टू योर past examinations or past examiners report is not going to help. So you look at April 24, I think April 24 ही था, where you have this climate change related. September 23 April 24 होगा. Climate change related question है, question number 1 है शायद, and उसमें 3 question है. First is for 9 marks, next is for 7 marks, third is for 15 marks. Those 3 questions broke the entire back of a lot of students because beyond the point you're not able to generate marks. Now look at the answer sheet as well. What they have done is एक्टिव वॉइस में एक पॉइंट लिखा है, फिर उसको पैसिव वॉइस में उसी पॉइंट को लिखा है, फिर दूसरा पॉइंट पकड़ा है एक्टिव पैसिव, एंड देन द फर्स्ट पॉइंट इज अगेन कमिंग back. So that is what they've done in the examiner report, which of course you can't do during the examination. So there certain points become much more important in that specific question. Writing certain points from model and assumptions became a little more important. तो वो कैसे होगा, वो प्रैक्टिस के साथ आएगा. वो अभी मैं आपको नहीं बोल सकता कि आप ये एग्जैक्ट करो तो होगा, but then you have to look at and read the question carefully, like I showed you those couple of questions, and reading those questions and comprehending it properly will help you understand कि अच्छा इस क्वेश्चन के ये सारे पॉइंट्स मैं इस चैप्टर से निकाल सकता हूँ. And then when you write chapter specific points, then your of course scoreability enhances. So that is like the approach, a very broad approach which you will get better at when you're solving more questions.
Yes.
Anish
Okay.
said, can you tell the extent of knowledge CB1 and CB2 in paper 1 the universally? So Anish, very simple. मैंने जो लास्ट में बोला, जो CB3 और CP2 CP3 के बाद सबसे इजी पेपर CB1 CB2 है. Will CB1 and CB2 level help you? CP1 अगर ऐसा होता तो initial questions नहीं आते, where everyone was saying you need 2 attempts or 3 attempts or 400 hours and all of that. So no, that will not help you. Kangan, I have cleared CS1, CB1, CB2, and CP3. CS1, CB1, CB2, and have 2.5 years of work experience in pension. Will you suggest to appear in CP1 in the September attempt? See, whether you have to attempt CP1 or not is something that you have to ask yourself. मुझसे अगर पूछोगे तो मैं तो हमेशा ही बोलूंगा कि आप पेपर दो. CP1 की जगह आपको you have done CS1, you want to give CS2, then yes, go for it. But you have to ask for yourself what is the kind of paper that you feel right now is more suitable and more up your alley. Being a working professional, I think going for more CM1, CM2 kind of a paper will be challenging. So agar ekdam personally, if I have to give you an opinion, I would suggest that pick up a path for yourself. Either choose that you give CP1 and जो भी आपकी SPS पढ़े हैं वो सारे थ्योरी आप खत्म कर लो, because I've seen working professionals are slightly better at theory क्योंकि आपका your brains are wired to do that, and then towards the end pick up those practical and then complete it, or choose the other way around wherein you are now giving all the वो जो आपके question paper solving वाले questions है, those you can give now and then follow it up with writing kind of questions. So rather than saying CP1 versus that, you have to ask yourself whether you want to go for writing or whether you want to go for questions. Agar answer to that is writing, then CP1 is a no brainer. Agar answer to that is this thing, what do you call it, uh, uh, solving questions, then you should go for CM1 and CM2 and all of that. Class schedule is not uploaded on site. Will we have class at 11:30 on coming Saturday? Yes, Irfan, Afnan, sorry, it will be uploaded in this one itself. But otherwise also, anyone who has, if let's just say you have already enrolled for it, it goes without saying that unless I have said, and last के अगर मैं दो terms के बात करूं, last दो terms के combined there were only 2 classes which did not happen. So सिंपल थिंग इज कि आप अज्यूम कर सकते हो कि पूरे एक टर्म में हो सकता है एक या दो क्लास नहीं हो. अदर देन दैट एवरी सैटरडे एवरी संडे यू विल हैव क्लास एट 11:30. Sir, you will, so yeah, I think that covers this, that yes, from this term onwards we're going to be starting off with the classes. I have cleared CB1 and 2, CS1 and 2, CM1 and gave CM2, and have just completed second year. Should I, अगर आप second year में इतना कुछ कर लियो तो आपको definitely CP1 देना ही चाहिए. But then again, Tirth, your question will be similar to the question which I just addressed some time back. You have to ask for yourself, he is giving CP1 right now helping you. Giving CP1 right now will help you if you're thinking of giving SP5 in the next term and then clearing SPSA level papers a year from now. अगर आपको SP exactly उसके बाद देना, like you're completely fixated कि SPSA level paper आप SPSA level papers आप सिर्फ इसके बाद दोगे, what do you call it, after your undergrad and all, in that case you can give CP1 in April also. So it is again up to you. But someone who has done exceptionally well, I think, I mean, there may be some self-doubt which is there, which is fine. And like I said, self-doubts may come as well. But I think for you folks, it's not going to be that difficult to give CP1 in the next term. I've cleared CS1, CM1, CM2, CB2, attempted CS2. I have my NSEM exam next month, so I'll be busy in it. And in search of jobs, so should I go for CP1 or go for CP2 and CB1? अगर आपको लगता है कि आप ज़्यादा commit नहीं कर पाओगे time, then I would suggest don't go for CP1. But if you're still, जो मैंने time आपको बताया, जितना time मैंने आपको बोला आपको देने के लिए, अगर उतना time आप दे पा रहे हो, which is like half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening, 1 hour in between, which can also include some of the other time which I had mentioned, and around 3 to 3.5 hours over the weekend. You have to ask yourself, on an average, are you able to devote this much time? If the answer to that is yes, then yes, go ahead with CP1. If the answer to that is no, then I wouldn't suggest you to go ahead with CP1. But one of the things which you guys can do in this case is, sometimes people have self-doubt कि I have other commitments, भाई की शादी है, end sem है, ये है, वो है. अगर वैसा कुछ है, in that case, and of course their life happens. I've also been through that. So in that kind of a situation, the best way to go about it is start to aaj karo. Start it from today. See for yourself where you lie in the next मतलब in a detailed manner. ऐसा नहीं कि आप start ही कर रहे हो just for the sake of starting. Start it with the mindset that you're going to give in September. Keep moving forwards and see how your progress is. Track your progress using KPIs. See whether you're able to address those questions and everything else. And if you are able to see कि अच्छा हाँ हो रहा है, तो after that you will realize कि हाँ चलो, now I can go for CP1 in this term. Otherwise, of course, there's always a next term which you can give. Because like I've said, anyone who has done CP1 ka heavy lifting, and it becomes slightly addictive as well. Like beyond a point, once you have done like 6-7 classes, 7-8 classes, and आपको मजा आने लगता है, and you're seeing कि अच्छा हाँ, it is not that difficult. These are the tricks up the sleeve that I need to understand, and these are the things that I need to follow. If I'm following this approach, I'm going forwards in the right way, and इस term CP1 हो जाएगा, and next term मान लो XYZ paper हो जाएगा. So that if you are that motivated, and if you feel that you're getting into that addiction bit which I just said, in that case, of course, go for it. And if you realize that you've started right now but you're moving off track like a month from now, then take a step back, ask for yourself whether you want to give it or not. If it becomes too much pressure to handle, then say a no, and then go for something else. But don't miss an attempt. Give CP2, CP3, CB1, whatever it is that you want to give, but go for it. And अगर किसी ने CP1 कर लिया, CP1, and I'm saying, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि वो engineer है totally. अगर किसी ने CP1 कर लिया है, तो आप CB1 तो 200% you'll be able to do. Like you're 99% sure that you'll be able to clear, barring maybe 1% of exam day, variance, but other than that CP1 आपका हो जाएगा. तो CP1 के बाद अगर कोई CP1 दे रहा है तो it's a very easy thing, because you know what it is exactly that you're supposed to write. So again, yeah, a lot of questions that came. I mean, a significant chunk of that very repetitive as well, but I hope that gives you a little more clarity. Again, to summarize everything, start now. Keep a target that you have to give it for this term of September. Have a proper method. Ensure that you're going through the CMP well, but at the same time, you're solving right set of questions in the right way as you're moving forwards. Go for revision notes, but see for yourself wherever you have even 1% self doubt, you might have to refer to certain other material as well. Keep tracking your performance. Ensure that you're preparing notes. Make sure that you're keeping a right set of track in order to ensure that आप रिमेंबर भी कर रहे हो चीजें, बट एट द सेम टाइम नॉट रोटिंग इट अप, लाइक ऐसे एकदम रॉटन नाउ में एकदम रॉट करके मेमोरी में वो कर दिया, वैसा नहीं. सर्टेन निमोनिक्स एटसेट्रा, क्रिएट ग्रैंड लिस्ट आपको घटिया लगता है, कुछ अपनी निमोनिक बना लो, बट क्रिएट दोज निमोनिक्स एंड देन एंश्योर दैट योर रिमेम्बरेंस जो है, जो रटने वाला चीज है, उसको आप थोड़ा सा जितना कम उस पर रख सको, जितना ज्यादा रिमेम्बरेंस पे फोकस करो एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग पे फोकस करो, दैट इज गोना हेल्प योर कॉज अ लॉट. And then ensure that these sort of tricks that institute has up their sleeves is what you are able to understand well. Okay, so that's all. Anish, we have discussed asets. Asets are basically past question papers which are discussed in a revision note format, but they are a little more uh, conversational. They will tell you, this question was asked, this question was from this chapter. These are the three things that you should remember while going ahead with these kind of chapters and so on and so forth. So those are what assets are. It's as good as a examiner's report, but with a little more conversation for you, right? So I think, guys, that good session. I hope a few of your doubts are now clear. Thanks a lot for taking out time over the weekend, and a few of you who have that question, again reiterating that from next weekend onwards we're going to be there and we're going to start the bank. Yes, Anish.
So just one thing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sir,
oh,
Yeah, Anish.
sir, and who provide assets or one has to buy it from where? Sir,
You can buy it from the IFoA Institute. It's in the Institute list of materials. Yeah. Yes, Nalin. Nalin?
sorry, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually I have cleared CM1, CM2, CS1, CS2,
Hmm.
and CP1 and 2, and I appeared for CP2 and 3 this April diet.
Hmm.
So which, like, if not CP1, which paper should I, like, can I go for September if I'm like after a few months
May
I
I
think
ask
that I'm
why
not
not CP1? Then I'll be able to better tell
in
you.
case. So basically, I am in search of a new job right now, and like I have a few interviews lined up. So
Hmm.
I'll probably be starting a new job in the next month. So I think that a lot of my time would go over there,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and I'll be relocating to a new location as well. So that is my concern that if
In
I'm
that
not being
case,
able
and
to
given your current predicament, in that case, I would say go for SP5.
SP5.
हाँ, because generic paper है, you can like
Okay.
clear that, and then specialization के लिए अगर आप GI में हो तो SP7 या 8 दे सकते हो, pension में हो तो शायद 3 दे सकते हो, life या health में 2. So that's a very
अच्छा.
generic set of paper which can help
Okay.
you like either way around. So
And
SP5 might be a good.
कितना टाइम लगेगा SP5 प्रिपेयर करने में?
देखो ऑनेस्टली अगर मैं बोलूँ तो टाइम इतना ही लगने वाला है.
अच्छा.
मे बी स्लाइटली लेसर टाइम. इट अगेन डिपेंड्स अपॉन द अप्रोच that you're using. आई वुड सजेस्ट सितंबर, मतलब इस टर्म में अगर आप वही अगर मतलब 1.5 hour over the weekdays and then 2 hours over the weekend,
हम्म.
maybe something like that if you're able to devote.
तो मेरा
So
इक्विवेलेंट है क्या CP1 भी या SP5 को?
see, of course SP5 is much more easier, but again uh, the thing is approach पे आपका थोड़ा सा time और लगेगा, because in case of
अच्छा.
SP5 you'll also have to look at, okay, what is the way that you're going ahead with it, and then
Okay.
preparing your own set of notes etc might take a little bit of time. So just putting a margin to that, I think it'll end up taking, let's just say, 150 hours in total, maybe something like that.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
Certainly less than CP1, that goes without saying.
Okay. Thanks.
Right,
Ria, yeah, all the best. Ria, do you suggest notes on Word or handwritten? Both are equally good, in my opinion. Uh, you have to ask yourself what is it that works for you. In my case, handwritten notes is what I went ahead with because I had to write the exams as well. So I prepared handwritten notes. I would have loved to share that, but nobody can read my handwriting, so sadly I can't do that, and I've also lost it. But I think because you guys are going to be typing it out, it's better if you guys prepare your own notes on the Word doc. All right, okay, guys, that ends 2 hours long session. A lot of you stayed back towards the end. Thanks a lot for taking out time over the weekend, and a chunk of you I'm going to see over the next week onwards, and others, all the best for your preparation. Just ensure you're following the approach पे ज़्यादा focus करना in case of CP1 rather than outcome. Approach अगर correct है तो outcome will definitely follow. So that's about it from my end, guys. Take care. I will see you next week. Bye.